Today we are tackling a series of real-world Kubernetes scenarios centered around metadata management. We have a set of specific requirements we need to fulfill to get any kind of a cluster in order. So today we are going to discuss about two questions. Multiple challenges we have to face in order to provide a solution for the first question. So the challenge one would be the deployment and initial grouping. So in the question, it asks create 3 pods that use the image Nginx 1251. The names of the pods should be pod 1, pod 2 and pod 3, and we have to assign label tier frontend to pod 1 and the label tier backend to pod 2 and pod 3. So our first task is basic infrastructure. We need 3 Nginx instances. However, in Kubernetes, the name is just a unique ID. To actually categorize them into architectural layers, we use labels. Let's create them and assign their tiers immediately. So to do that one, we need to run kubectl, run, then the pod name. So the first pod is pod 1, and then we need to specify the image. So that would be Nginx 1251, and then we have to add a label as tier frontend. Then for the pod 2, we have to use backend as the tier label. Then for the pod 3, the same tier backend label should be applied. Then notice we use labels during the run command. This is an equality based label. We are defining a hard attribute. This pod is frontend or this pod is backend. So in the next challenge, we have to face an update. So all pods should also assign the label team Artemedis. So then we need to assign an annotation with the key deployer to pod 1 and pod 3, and also we have to use our own name as the value. So in any organization, the requirements can be changed with the time. So when an organization need to manage their pods, they will need to add or remove multiple labels from a set of pods. To perform such kind of an action, we use this command. So if we need to add the same label to multiple pods, we can use kubectl label, and then we have to give the resource type as pods, and then we have to list the names of our pods that need to be updated with the latest label name. Pod 1, and then pod 2, and then pod 3, and then we have to specify the new label. Then to annotate, we can use this command kubectl annotate pod 1 and pod 3, and then the deployer equals to my name is Anjan, and hence I'm putting the value as Anjan. Okay, the pod 1 and pod 3 is updated with the annotation as well. So one could imagine, why didn't we use labels for the deployer name? Because of searchability, we don't use a label to mark the deployer kind of values. So we search for all pods owned by team Artemedis, but we rarely search for all pods which deployed by a specific deployer. So hence we are not going to use a label to do that one. The important thing is the labels are for indexing, and then the annotations are for details. So for the next challenge in the question, from the command line, we have to use label selection to find all pods with the team Artemedis or air control, and we have to consider and we have to add the filter criteria to filter out the backend pods from the command line. So when a cluster has grown with multiple number of pods, then we will need to use filter criteria to perform some actions. So to filter out, we have to use this command kubectl get pods, then we have to use -l flag and then open single quotation mark and put a query as and then close the single quotation mark, and then we have to put a comma to the filter criteria, and this comma will be act as an operator. Then we can specify the tier as backend. So here I think I have a spelling mistake. Okay, so our label team is not the I have a spelling mistake in our label, so we have to rename the label as well. So to do that one, kubectl label pod 1 okay. So to remove a label, we can use this command. We just need to use kubectl label pod, and then we have to specify the pod name, and then we have to specify the label key value, and then put a minus mark at the end. So we can do the same thing for the pod 2 and pod 3 as well. Then we can add the proper label key value as this. Then we can use the filter criteria, and then we will get the running pods which is eligible for this filter criteria. We have successfully gave the answer to the first question, and then let's move on to the second question. So in the second question, it asks create a pod with the image Nginx, and then assign two recommended labels, one for defining the application name with the value f5 Nginx, and one for defining the tool used to manage the application name Helm. So to do that one, we can use kubectl run f5 Nginx standard, and then we can specify the image as and then we can add the labels as so we are getting an error. Okay, we have to give a space in between. Okay, so this is how we give the standard label values, and then we can display the created objects by typing kubectl get pods with show labels flag. Okay, so here it is, all the pods we created are listed from this command. So by following these steps, we can label the anonymous containers, and we can make the container management so easy, and we can use those labels to search and perform additional actions on those pods.